I now call to order the regularly scheduled board meeting for May 8, 2025 of the Lake Havasu Unified School District. Roll call, please.
David Rose.
Here.
Matthew Houston.
Here.
Lisa Ramon.
Here.
We will now have a moment of silent prayer or private reflection. Amen. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the... Oh, stop. Stop. Hold on. Sorry. We have kids.
At this time,
We have students. Sorry. Something new.
Ms. Hammer has some student leaders that she's going to introduce for us, and then we'll get to the pledge.
Yeah. Where's testing?
I do have some of my third grade student leaders tonight with us and future Coyotes coming up from Smoke Tree Preschool. So here I have Donovan Fitzgerald and Isabella Fitzgerald, aka Donnie and Bella, and Paisley and Bethany. Donnie, his favorite thing at school is to learn all the things, and he loves being able to have his education, he told me, every day. And when he grows up, he wants to be a YouTuber. He was debating between being a gamer and doing like math problems, so showing how to do math problems. So we're hoping for the math.
Yeah, let's go for that.
Put some gaming in there. And then Isabella, her favorite thing is also learning at school, and she wants to grow up and be a doctor. And then her little sisters are getting ready to do the Pledge of Allegiance with us, right?
Yay.
Okay.
All right.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, guys.
Good job. Sorry, it's something new we are doing, and we are excited to have our students leading us in the pledge. At this time, we'll have spotlights and recognitions. At this time, Lake Havasu High School student recognition for the ACT Perfect Score.
Mr. President, members of the board, Colin, come on up and join me. Yes, yes. All right. It is not every day we get to celebrate a truly extraordinary academic accomplishment, but today is one of those special moments. It is my great pleasure to introduce someone whose hard work, discipline, and intellectual curiosity have earned him a place among top achievers in the nation. Please join me in congratulating Colin Miller, a dedicated student who recently achieved a perfect score of 36 on the ACT exam. Now you need to have your phone up here. You need to have a phone so you can take a picture.
We're all very proud of you.
To put that into perspective, each year more than 1 million students take the ACT, and less than half of 1% earn a perfect score. That's not just impressive, it's rare, remarkable, and reflects academic talent and a mindset geared towards excellence. Colin didn't just wake up one day and magically know all the answers. Or did you? No. No. This achievement is the result of countless hours of preparation, persistence in the face of challenges, and an unwavering commitment to learning, and of course his parents' drive.
Yes, good goal, Karen.
Whether it was mastering math problems, analyzing reading passages, or fine-tuning his grammar rules, he approached every section with focus, determination, and a plan. We'll see if he'll share that in a few moments. But what makes Colin truly exceptional goes beyond his test score. He brings that same dedication to the classroom, shows kindness to his peers, and represents the best of what our school stands for. Colin Miller, your achievement is a source of pride, not just for you and your family, but for all of us here. You've shown us what's possible when talent meets dedication. We are incredibly proud of you. Congratulations on this amazing milestone.
Ellen, take a picture.
We got it.
Yes, that is awesome!
He has a speech. You have a speech.
So you do have to keep it short.
Okay.
Okay. So before I turn the mic over to Colin, I did say in here, we'll see if he'll share his tactic. So in classes, it is shared, some testing strategies, and he took great advantage of one of them. So we'll see if he can share that.
So as he was talking about with test-taking strategies, obviously studying and paying attention in classes and all of that is very important to getting scores like this. But to reach that next level for anybody who wants to teach or share strategies for how to get scores like this in the future, really studying the test is very important to reaching that highest level of achievement. And especially with things like the ACT, it's a test in which every single letter choice appears the same number of times on the test. So utilizing that to my advantage whenever I need to guess, and guessing the one with the highest chance of being correct is always very important. But more importantly, I'd love to take a moment to give thanks to some of those who have helped me reach this accomplishment. First and foremost, my family. I like to say that I get my creativity from my mother and my logistical aptitude from my father, but it's not as simple as that. Whatever combination of genes and experiences that you two have bestowed upon me is nothing short of perfect, or at least I see it to be so. And no words or list of finite length can truly do justice to the life of discovery and learning that you guys have built for me. So thank you. Secondly, I'd like to thank the educators in my life. My teachers throughout my high school tenure have instilled in me the necessary knowledge to excel in academics, as well as achieve scores such as these. Another huge thanks to my English teachers. I have found English to be one of the subjects that I struggle most in. However, through the teachings and presences of teachers such as Mr. Muschetti, Mr. Bogus, and truthfully every English teacher up to this point, I have found enjoyment and excellence in that area of study. Finally, to my early educators, the greatest scholastic influences I could have ever hoped for. Sure, 2 + 2 may not have been on the ACT, but looking back, that isn't truly what they taught me. No, teachers like Mrs. Bagby, Mrs. Murphy, Ms. Tuneman, Mrs. Hammer, and Mrs. Vesley taught me much more than that and something much greater, to enjoy learning and to find success in the fruits of curiosity. Both the academic and extracurricular influences that teachers like Mrs. Vesley have had have taken me to heights I never would have hoped to reach without them, and I owe my deepest appreciation to them. These teachers deserve just as much, if not more, credit for my accomplishments, and I owe to them any potential life of scholastic endeavor I may have ahead of me. There's no psychological advancement without the brilliant minds to facilitate it. Thank you.
Congratulations. Great job.
Well done. Where do you plan to go to college? When you're applying? What's your career goal?
That's awesome. All right. Congratulations. Now for our superintendent recognition of our 2025 retirees. Dr. Skinner.
Colin Miller. You got me. Thank you for recognizing the efforts of the people in this room. It is our ultimate passion to see all of our students achieve their own personal greatness. So I just am a little touched by that, so forgive me. Tonight we're going to start by recognizing another one of Jamaica's finest. If I could have Miss Kidder, our reading interventionist, make her way to this podium. Today we gather to celebrate the incredible career of Miss Rita Kidder, who is retiring after 24 years of dedicated service to our district. Beginning her teaching journey in 1986 and then joining us in 2001, Rita has been a consistent force in helping every student succeed. As our reading interventionist, Rita has gone above and beyond supporting struggling readers. Through one-on-one sessions, connecting students with outside resources, and using targeted strategies, she has helped countless students find success. She led our reading intervention program with passion and skill, ensuring students received the help they needed and that our team worked together seamlessly. Her calm, kind, and goal-oriented approach has made her more than just a colleague. She's been a trusted partner to staff and a champion for students. Whether working directly with children or supporting teachers, I'm so sorry. Rita has elevated the role of literacy in every corner of Jamaica Elementary. A memorable moment in her career came when she was honored as Teacher of the Year, a well-deserved recognition she accepted with humility and surprise. Rita, your dedication and heart have left a lasting mark. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to our students and community. We wish you the very best in retirement. May it be filled with peace, joy, and new adventures with your beloved grandbabies. Congratulations on an extraordinary career.
I'm gonna give you this.
Yeah, I'll switch you.
You get this.
Okay.
You get this. Oh, that's supposed to.
Oh, it didn't. I thought it was open.
Yeah, I did too.
Sorry.
Sorry, we thought it was a little zipper there, but it wasn't.
I believe so. We had a few other retirees this evening that were unable to join us. Some of them have relocated and some of them had other commitments. But we did also want to thank Danny Morgan, our facility service person from Oro Grande Classical Academy, Jack Parnell, our warehouse assistant, Miss Diana Page, our Havasupai media assistant, and Guadalupe Ramirez, our custodian from the middle school. We just appreciate the dedication, the heart, the perseverance, the commitment that each and every one of these members has contributed to our schools. So even though they are not here, we just want to make sure that they know they are thanked and loved and appreciated. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to welcome Lake Havasu City Education Association President Carol Nowakowski.
Woo! Go, Carol!
Now am I on? Okay, sorry. So, HB 219, it requires before 2025-26 school year, the Arizona Department of Ed to compile and post on AD's website information regarding water safety. But down at the bottom, it will show you number 2 requires each school district and charter beginning 25-26 school year to provide each parent who initially enrolls a child in the school district or charter the web page address for water safety information. Sorry, my mic wasn't on, but we do offer KinderSwim and kindergarten, but this also includes new students also, so we would want to make sure we're including them. The other one is HB 2774, which we are focusing on today, which I noticed on our agenda. It's the school safety proposals and assessment plans. It expands the school safety program to support costs of placing school safety officers and be establishing an alternative program proposal process to support the cost of purchasing safety equipment and infrastructure improvements as specified. So if we turn the page, you will see down at the bottom of the second, it says emergency response plan requirements. Requires each school district and charter that receives a program approval and monies to develop an emergency response plan, contact with safety, school safety assessment provider and such. So I just wanted to make sure you, we all were aware that these requirements have been passed and put in place. And then there is the ongoing concern of Proposition 123. 10 years ago, AEA and a coalition of organizations from across the political spectrum came together to pass Proposition 123, including myself and our, at the time, LD 30, but now LD 5 legislators. We sat down at the table, we had many discussions on what this was going to look like for our community and for our state. It was a major investment in Arizona public schools, educator salaries, and the future of our state. Proposition 123, as stated before, is scheduled to expire soon. And unfortunately, some of our legislators are debating how to renew this funding. Once a proposal is decided upon, it will move on to the Arizona voters to approve it through a ballot measure. Our AEA, which also includes LHCEA, believe it is in the best option for Arizona educators that we have a clean renewal of Prop 123. With a clean renewal, school districts would be able to continue using Prop 123 funding to raise salaries for educators, support professional development, expand student programs, and maintain school buildings and meet the other needs. Unfortunately, instead of simply just renewing Prop 123, some members of our Arizona legislators are proposing a different plan that would limit our investment on public schools to permanently expand Arizona billion-dollar voucher program. Under the proposal, Prop 123 would not ensure that the fundings go to all employees, which includes our educational support staff, as well as our classroom teachers. We don't have the final language yet, but reports indicate that our ESPs would largely be excluded, and possibly some of the certified staff. Okay. Again, it seems to be the main goal of the new proposal is to protect the vouchers, the ESA vouchers. Despite the lack of accountability and the out-of-control costs associated with ESAs, the new proposal would create a constitutional right for vouchers. If this becomes law, it would nearly be impossible to ever reform them. We expect legislators to introduce the full text of the voucher focus proposal next week. AA is focused on protecting funding for our schools, but the future of Prop 123 will be on the ballot, and we need to be ready, and we encourage everyone to reach out to our LD5 legislators and request a clean renewal on 123, Prop 123. And I will end with Happy Teacher Appreciation Week, where we honor educators within the last weeks of school in hopes it encourages them to make it to the end. In a meme I recently read, imagine being this tired and still showing up every day. That's Teacher in May. What a year it has been, and even though the end is near, we still have a lot of things to accomplish. In the next 2 weeks, we finalize grades, we have finals, we have promotions and graduations. Then on May 23rd, we can breathe and we can celebrate all that we have accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. At this time, we have consent agenda item 4.1. I'm sorry, no, 3.1, call to the public at this time. Sorry.
I have Alice Mill, well, this way till everyone clears out. If you're going to leave, voice.
Yeah. We can give a couple moments for those who are leaving. Thank you for being here this evening.
Wait till you're done, Colin. Yes!
All right, now at this time, item 3.1, call to the public.
Jenna Mills.
President Rose, Dr. Skinner. Oh,
Yep, we need
good
to-
call. Is it visible? Oh, perfect.
All right. Oh, that's,
Oh, it's only a minute? I was
no,
told
you
3
get,
on my paper.
you get 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, I gotta read. Okay.
Also, just to note, if time expires whenever you're speaking, you can just submit your entire remarks to the entire board via email.
Yes. All
Okay.
right.
President Rose, Dr. Skinner, members of the school board, and members of the community. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts about the district's gifted program. My highest priority tonight is to convince you that not only should the self-contained gifted program remain, but it must continue as an example of an outstanding student service that few districts provide. I have the perspective of a mother with 3 gifted children that are students in the Lake Havasu Unified School District. I am also a former gifted student. I am a current 3rd grade teacher in the district, and I have taught a cohort of gifted students. This is only my 3rd year as the elementary school teacher. Previously, I served in the U.S. Air Force. Then, I worked in the Washington, D.C. with Department of Defense executives regarding worldwide missions. My main mission as a mother is to provide opportunities for growth and success for my children. The gifted program provides these opportunities far beyond anything I could do independently. Without the self-contained gifted program at Starline, my main mission as a mother would be limited at best. In my classroom this year, I told my students I believe they will see a manned mission to Mars in their lifetime. But these space travelers would not get there without identifying that arriving safely on Mars is the mission statement. What is the mission statement of our district's gifted program? Are we shooting for the moon? Are we shooting for Mars and beyond? The Starline Self-Contained Gifted Program is a mission to Mars. They have endorsed teachers that have a training and experience to work with neurodivergent students. They have the entire school day to encourage and accommodate those students' unique abilities and deficits. I've taught a cohort program. The students were able to work with each other and challenge each other, but I was unable to provide a gifted environment. Their needs could not be my main priority. I even teach my own daughter this year, who tested gifted in 2nd grade. She told me she feels chained to the weight of the other students. She looks forward to soaring in the gifted program, where her gifted rockets will carry her as far as she desires. I view the pull-out of cohort programs as missions to the moon. Are missions to the moon exciting and important? Absolutely, but we've already been to the moon. I want a gifted mission statement that enables my children and my students to go beyond. When I told my 5th grade son about the possibility of the pull-out program, he told me, sounds like most of the time you're not even gifted. He's right. That's how he would be treated. Gifted children are not gifted some of the time. They are gifted all of the time. My son felt isolated and mocked through 3rd grade. He was so scared of group work that he threatened to hit his 4th grade teacher so he could get out of working in a group. Now, he is thrilled to share with his entire class how he solved the math problems. He said he knows his classmates understand him and think differently too. I'm here tonight to tell you thank you for my 8th grader and my 5th grader that they can reach Mars and beyond. I am here begging you that my 3rd grader has the same opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse my speech impediment tends to act up when I'm speaking in front of a crowd. Okay. Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alice Mills. I attend Thunderbolt Middle School, and I am the daughter of Mrs. Mills, who teaches at Starline. I have been in gifted and honors program since 4th grade, and I can without a doubt tell you that they have saved my life. Before I get into the uncomfortable reality of growing up as a neurodivergent person, I want to preface this with how the gifted program has helped my education itself. I am and always have been a very fast learner and showed great knowledge in ELA, math, and science before I even started preschool. From the outside looking in, this seems incredible. School must be so easy for you, they said. But it made school a nightmare of monotonous and pointless tasks. I know these things, I thought. Why should I have to prove it so many times before they believed me? I struggled to finish my assignments because I felt like I was being punished for being ahead. When I got to the gifted program for the first time, I wasn't forced to slow down. I was finally able to learn something new for once. And that can't be achieved in just a 1 hour period once a week. Now that that's out of the way, I'd like to discuss the emotional impact that the gifted program had on me as a neurodivergent person. I am mentally disabled. I have ADHD and OCD. Let me give you a walk through what it's like to grow up as a neurodivergent person. When you're little, you make tons of friends. Sure, you can't figure out social cues, but that's okay. You're still learning, but you won't, and you never will. Over time, your mistakes can't be chalked up to childishness anymore. You're expected to follow rules that not only were never explained to you, but you have no semblance of reasoning for them. You're called rude for simply saying or asking things. The friends you made in kindergarten become the smart kids, the sporty kids, the popular kids, or heaven forbid the kids who bully people like you. You think you have friends, but you can't tell the difference between friends and acquaintances. You're always the one left behind. When I got to the gifted program, that all changed. I made real friends who never tell me to just be normal, because I make just as much sense to them as they do to me. I didn't even know it was possible to be that happy. The fact that my old friends didn't want to hang out with me, it doesn't make them bad people, it just makes us different. And that's okay, but I needed other people like me. They're the only ones who listen when I need something that doesn't actually make any sense. They sit through my hour-long rants about the book I'm writing the same way I sit through their rants about some obscure fan fiction from an obscure spin-off of an obscure game. My mental health has taken a bit of a bad turn in recent years, and in all honesty, without the people I met in the gifted program, I don't know if I'd still be alive right now. To a neurotypical person, the gifted program may seem like special treatment, an ego boost, or an inconvenience for the workers involved. But for us, it's the difference between existing and truly living.
Thank you.
Okay, Bonnie, you ready?
I think that the self-contained gifted program is the best choice. I'm a gifted third grade student. I have not entered the self-contained program, and I think that the self-contained program is a good choice. If the school chose a different program, it would be like half gifted. Please keep the self-contained program.
Thank you. Can I speak to that? Okay. All right. Thank all of you for sharing your feedback. And we will be discussing that in just a few moments. So now item 4.1, consent agenda. Need a motion?
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
David Rose?
Yes.
Matthew Houston?
Yes.
Lisa Lamone?
Yes.
All right. At this time, item 5.1, discussion items, safety audit. Yeah.
So we wanted to have a discussion tonight.
Safety. So at the last board meeting, the board had asked about bringing forth some discussion about safety. So is it still not? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So student, staff, campus safety are top priorities for us, and it is necessary to continually monitor our safety practices and protocols to ensure we are in compliance and assess areas that may require more safety measures. At this time, Lake Havasu Unified School District is seeking a safety audit to support our efforts to assess current practices and provide guidance on any necessary updates to ensure our students and staff on each campus have a safe educational environment. The safety audit is intended to provide recommendations for improvement of systems, options that may be considered, and a couple of those that might be considered as we're kind of going through the audit could be something potentially like a Raptor system for visitors that would receive a visitor badge. We scan IDs, that badge is scanned, and then it checks against sex offender registries, then prints a visitor badge to be worn at all times on the campus visits. Potentially control card access where everyone has a badge. That badge lets you into buildings and classrooms. This would allow the district to run off the badge quick. This would allow the district to turn off the badge quickly in the event of a theft or loss, as opposed to a key system. So if we lose our keys, we're not having to run and say, oh, we got to rekey everything. We just quickly turn off that badge, issue another badge. So those are just a few ideas. Again, that would all come up in the safety audit. Then you guys would have that opportunity to review that audit to see what potential changes that you want to discover or explore more.
Awesome. Thank you, Superintendent. And this is an item that is extremely important to this board. Our children are our most precious commodity in this community, as well as our staff. It's keeping everyone safe and ensuring when you're on campus that you're not worried about what could happen or what if this happens, that you know that from working from the high school to the middle school at one of our elementary schools, even our staff here at the district office, that you are fully protected when you're on campus. And so this is something that we want to open up to look at working with organizations to come in to do a safety audit and pick that company. Also, there is a potential, I've been told, of maybe the FBI working with us in that as well, and potential for grants. Also, I would like to see our school resource officers be involved in this. They are on our campuses. They know what our weaknesses are and the things that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, and we need them to be involved and need their input. So, any discussion from other members?
So is the discussion item today us talking about whether we want to
Correct.
go forward and get like maybe
Yes.
a bid from an audit company? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
And I do like the FBI idea, especially if there's grant money tied to that. I think that that is a good option. I do want to stress that we do have, our board has in the past promoted campus safety, and so all of our campuses already do have a system where if you are a visitor and you go to the front lobby, you have to be buzzed in. There isn't any sort of, you can just open a door and get access to the campus. You do have to be let in by one of our staff members. I have been to other campuses in other states that use the Raptor program that's referenced up here, and I did like it because as a visitor, you go and you show your driver's license, and then they just print out a little sticker badge that you wear, and then that makes it very easy for the teachers who are on campus that day to know that you're there and that you are permitted to be there. So I think there are some good options.
Yeah, and, this is something we ran on was, financial audit, which we've done, curriculum audit, and this is the last thing we said we were going to do is that we are putting the safety. We have, as a new board member, it's our responsibility to understand the security risks of our district, of our properties, and ensure the safety of our children. So absolutely going forward, I'd like to get quotes and see what this can produce. And it sounds like the state legislature is also on par with what we're wanting to do. So hopefully that can bring in additional resources as well.
Awesome.
And best case scenario, we'll get an auditor and they'll say, actually, what you're doing is just right as it is. So, yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right. Item 5.2, student achievement, tutoring for students.
At this time, we'll have Christy come up and go through our tutoring proposal. Yep.
Good evening, President Rose, members of the board, and community members. I'm here this evening on behalf of Interim Superintendent Skinner to provide an overview of our current K-12 tutoring and homework help supports. This context will set the stage for a proposed addition aimed at better meeting student needs across the district. Currently, 224 elementary students, approximately 10% of our elementary population, participate in after-school tutoring. This program is offered at every elementary site and operates 2 days per week for 1-hour sessions. Students are asked to commit to the tutoring program for 1 quarter at a time to promote consistent attendance and sustained academic support. Each session is structured to dedicate equal time to mathematics and reading instruction. Students are placed in groups of no more than 8 and are recommended for participation based on multiple data sources, including mimic assessments, DIBELS scores, classroom grades, state assessment results, parent requests, and teacher recommendations. A distinguishing feature of our elementary tutoring program is the strong collaboration between tutors and classroom teachers. Tutors maintain consistent communication with teachers through the use of student data sheets that identify instructional needs and monitor progress. Each student works towards specific teacher-assigned academic goals. Tutors also administer pre- and post-assessments to measure growth and provide families with quarterly progress reports. To ensure accountability and alignment, tutors submit lesson plans and attendance records to the site-based tutoring coordinator on a monthly basis. Next slide, please. At Thunderbolt Middle School, 11 students currently receive targeted tutoring support from 4 certified teachers. Students are recommended for participation based on classroom performance and mimic assessment data. To identify specific learning gaps in mathematics, each student is given a pre-assessment. Progress is then monitored through the intervention period. Growth in English language arts is measured through classroom-based performance indicators. A hallmark of the Thunderbolt program is the highly individualized nature of the support provided. With such a small cohort of students and dedicated instructional staff, tutors are able to build deep knowledge of each student's academic needs, strengths, and learning goals. The individualized attention significantly enhances the quality and impact of the tutoring experience. However, transportation remains a barrier for many Thunderbolt students who could benefit from this level of academic intervention, limiting broader participation. At Lake Havasu High School, peer-to-peer tutoring is made possible through generous funding from the K-12 Foundation. This school year, 24 students have accessed support through this program. In addition to peer tutoring, every high school teacher provides 30 minutes of office hours on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Students may also request individual appointment for office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Office hours offer students timely, content-specific, and personalized academic support. These sessions often serve as critical touch points for students, allowing them to seek clarification, revisit challenging material, and strengthen their understanding of course content. In order to ensure equitable access, zero-hour classes were eliminated to allow all students the opportunity to attend office hours across all subject areas. This structured teacher-led support has the potential to profoundly impact student success by providing daily access to teachers who understand both the content and the student's individual learning context. The office hour model supports not only academic achievement, but also student confidence and engagement. Go to the next one. The district recognizes the need to expand and refine academic support beyond their traditional school day in order to more equitably serve our student population. The following guiding principles support the rationale for a structured, district-wide tutoring and homework help program. Number 1, equitable access. All students deserve access to high-quality academic support, regardless of school site, schedule, or home circumstances. Number 2, flexible support. A district-coordinated structure with flexible scheduling allows families and students to access support when it is needed most. Number 3, student engagement. Regular, consistent academic support in a welcoming environment increases student confidence, encourages homework completion, and promotes overall achievement. Academic support. The program would provide structured environments where students can receive guidance on homework completion. Number 5, partnership potential. This initiative opens opportunities to collaborate with local colleges, community organizations, and nonprofits. And finally, student leadership. A peer tutoring model at the secondary level would support the development of leadership and mentoring skills among students. So our proposed model, in addition to what we already offer, is at the elementary, homework help. Certified staff be available before or after school, once a week, for 30 minutes for general homework completion help. Some considerations with this model are tutors may not have knowledge of the students' learning profiles, whether they have an IEP, if they're gifted, if they have a 504. Attendance would be voluntary, which may lead to inconsistent participation. There would be limited coordination with the classroom instruction that may result in a disconnect between homework help and actual academic needs. And finally, The model should not be intended as a replacement for regular school attendance. At the middle school level, we would also offer additional homework help. Certified staff and the National Junior Honor Society students would be available one morning per week for 30 minutes for supervised homework help. Considerations with the middle school model are existing staff can implement this model at no additional cost. It would provide meaningful peer leadership opportunities for students. However, the peer tutors will need to be trained to ensure integrity of support, i.e. tutoring, not copying. Again, participation would be voluntary, so attendance may be inconsistent. And once again, the model is not a substitute for regular school attendance. Finally, the high school, a tutoring central model. We have two different options. The option number one is evening tutoring hub. Certified teachers and high school student tutors would be available one evening per week from maybe 5 to 7 p.m. at the Lake Havasu High School Library and would be available to tutor any student in grades 3 through 8. Parents or guardians would be required to remain on site with their student. Considerations with this model are it would provide leadership opportunities for our high school students. Transportation may be a barrier for some families. Attendance may be unpredictable and inconsistent. Extracurriculars often conflict both for students and for tutors, jobs, sports, church. It may be difficult to recruit staff with the ability and willingness to tutor across a wide range of grade levels and content hours during the evening hours. And finally, the second option at the high school level is after-school subject-specific support. So certified Lake Havasu High School teachers would offer tutoring 3 afternoons per week from 3 to 4 p.m. in the Lake Havasu High School Career Center, with each day focused on a different content area. For example, Monday would be math, Wednesday would be science. This tutoring would serve students in grades 7 through 12. Considerations with the second option are tutors may not be familiar with student-specific courses, assignments, or instructional pacing. It is challenging to match student needs with tutoring expertise. Because you are a math teacher, tutoring algebra looks very different than tutoring geometry. Tutoring biology looks very different than tutoring chemistry. Transportation remains a barrier for some families. Attendance may be inconsistent. Recruiting and retaining qualified tutors for multiple subject areas may prove difficult. And after-hours programming requires clear supervision and safety protocols. So, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay. So, our recommendation is to pilot one of these programs, or possibly all of these programs, for one semester, and to gather data around some key points. How often are students attending the tutoring session? What days of the week? Are they coming in the mornings or in the evenings? How long are they staying? 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour? Which school sites are represented? What grade levels and subject areas are most frequently accessed? And student and family feedback. And that is a little cost breakdown for you. So I will defer any questions you have to Dr. Skinner. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then back to student achievement.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Olson. Now open for discussion to the board.
Yeah, I like the proposal. Definitely some things to work out on it. I'd like to get a work session, bring parents in, see what the feasibility of these things are to them, get input back to them before we run a pilot program. Definitely like the availability of getting the elementary, middle school, some more additional support, homework support. Something you touched on was, they won't have the basis of, what are they doing in school or in the coursework. High quality tutor is kind of going to be around that. I spent a lot of time in the tutor center, the math center, the science center at University of Utah. You take that individual problem and a good tutor is able to help you through that issue, you go and get additional support on the per subject matter from your teacher in the normal office hours. But having that ability to go somewhere, get homework help, I found it to be an invaluable tool to get through some of the more difficult subject matters. And especially you're talking about gifted students, you know, they're pushing the bounds. So having somebody that they can go to for additional help, get that extra knowledge, I think is a fantastic thing. So yeah, I'd like to workshop this and work it a little further before we pilot anything.
Okay. Member Vermont?
I agree. I did have a question, and it's okay if you don't have like the exact figure, but you said that 11 people or 11 students at Thunderbolt took advantage of the tutoring. How many people or how many students were recommended and just didn't take advantage?
That is a great question. I don't currently have that answer.
Okay.
Okay. No.
Would you say it's
I
like
can find out.
maybe twice that number, 10 times that number? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd definitely like to get those numbers up.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
students have? I think a lot of people could benefit with some additional tutoring.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I love this presentation. Thank you so much, Ms. Olson. We want to support student achievement. We want our students to be successful, and we want to do everything we can to help them. But I do think it's important that we work out the kinks that are in this. And I believe we also need to have a conversation with our transportation department. Is there an opportunity potentially to bus these kids home after tutoring? You know, and I know we'll hear, well, that's an additional cost. We're here to invest in the kids.
Yeah.
That's why we're here as a district. And, you know, I don't believe in let's find the problem. Let's look at the problem and come up with the solution to do better for our kids. So thank you, and I love the idea of a work session.
Yeah.
So, all right, item 5.3, the gifted proposal at this time. Mrs. Tuneman.
Okay.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, President Rose and members of the board. Good evening. Tonight I'll outline our existing gifted education identification process and programming, and then share proposed modifications to our identification process and programming as requested by the board and Dr. Skinner. As we begin discussing our gifted education program, it's important to ground our conversation in the state requirements that guide our work. Arizona Revised Statute 15779.02 establishes two key mandates for all public school districts. First, we must identify gifted learners in our student population. Second, we must provide appropriate educational programs and services for these identified students. While the state requires these elements, it gives districts local control over implementation. In our case, we follow our Cycle 5 monitoring scope and sequence that was most recently reapproved by the State Board of Education, the Arizona Department of Education, and our school board in 2022. LHUSD is scheduled for gifted monitoring during the 2027-2028 school year. The state defines gifted education as specialized academic offerings that must be integrated into the regular school day with services embedded within the regular school schedule and commensurate with gifted students' abilities and potential. Our district's responsibility, as outlined in this statute, includes developing a comprehensive framework that addresses a clear identification process, programming designs with integration of services during regular school hours, and appropriate curriculum modifications and differentiated learning experiences that match our gifted students' capabilities. This foundation of state requirements help frame both our current practices and any proposed modifications to our program. As required by state law, if program modifications are made, the governing board will need to submit a revised scope and sequence to ADE by July 1st of the fiscal year in which the changes are made. I want to share 2 slides of historical data with the board before we examine our current processes and proposed changes. My role as the district test coordinator has been to coordinate the nomination process and testing cycle and to proctor the gifted testing at each site. I provide notification of test results to parents and guardians within 4 weeks of test administration, along with information about the district's gifted education services in accordance with the state law. LHUSD uses the Arizona State Board approved Cognitive Ability Test, or the COGAT, as our evaluation instrument. Students are tested using group testing methods and assessed in 3 areas: verbal, quantitative, and nonverbal reasoning skills. Following state statute, students who score at or above the 97th percentile in any of these three areas are identified as gifted. We take pride in our open nomination process, which allows teachers, parents, guardians, administrators, counselors, and community members to nominate students for gifted testing. Since 2022, ADE has supported our identification efforts by funding universal gifted testing for all second grade students. Combined with our open nominations, this comprehensive approach allows us to evaluate approximately 500 students annually. As you can see from the data in this table, we've maintained consistent identification efforts over the past 4 years. Our registration process remains accessible through both an online platform and traditional paper forms available at each school site. This table shows the district's beginning of the year gifted population by grade level for the past 4 years. Looking at our current data for the 24-25 school year, LHUSD has identified 240 students who qualified for gifted services. This represents 4% of our total district student population. As you can see from the second table, we have students identified as gifted at every school site in our district. The third table also breaks down how these students qualified, whether it's verbal, quantitative, nonverbal, in multiple areas where they qualified in 2 areas, or as profoundly gifted where they qualified in all 3 areas. The first proposed change addresses the board and Dr. Skinner's goal to expand our gifted identification process to include more grade levels. Our current testing structure meets the state requirements to provide testing 3 times per year. We provide the universal second grade testing. We provide 2 additional testing windows in the winter and spring for grades 3 through 6, and case-by-case testing opportunities for grades K through 1, 7 through 12, and we also offer testing to non-LHUSD students upon request. Our current identification process includes both an appeal process and local norming to ensure additional data points are considered when determining services for students scoring in the 90th to 96th percentile. For the 25-26 school year, we propose to expand our regular testing window to include earlier grade levels. The revised schedule will feature a fall testing window for grades 1 and 3 through 6, a winter testing window for grades K through 1 and 3 through 6, and then the continuation of our second grade universal testing as long as ADE funding continues for the 25-26 school year. This expanded schedule offers 2 key benefits. First, it allows us to identify gifted learners earlier in their academic careers through a systematic K-1 testing using an untimed picture-based assessment. Second, by moving our first testing window to early in fall, we can ensure that those identified students are placed appropriately for the current school year rather than waiting for the following year. The primary consideration for this expansion is the additional district cost of $17.60 per student tested. In addition, best practices indicate that the COGAT scores are most valid for up to 2 years. Students identified in K through 1 using the picture-based assessment may need to be retested in later grades to obtain updated scores using the standard format to ensure that we have the most accurate information to provide appropriate gifted services that match their developing abilities. Our next area of focus is gifted programming and services. Gifted programs and services evaluate the academic integrity for all learners by providing meaningful pathways for students to reach their fullest potential. This is achieved with a carefully aligned curriculum spanning K through 12, highly qualified gifted educators, and supportive district and building administration. LHUSD currently offers a continuum of services for our gifted and high-achieving students that focuses on continuous growth and engagement while building on itself throughout the grades. In grades K through 6, each site provides enrichment opportunities for both gifted and high-achieving students within our multi-tiered system of support, our MTSS framework. Starting in 3rd grade, gifted students that were identified through the 2nd grade testing are cluster grouped at their home schools. Gifted students in grades 4 through 6 have the option to receive full-day specialized gifted services at Starline Elementary School in our self-contained gifted classrooms. This program draws gifted students from around the district, and the table shows the number of students receiving services at Starline and their original site. So for this current school year, Starline provided full-day gifted services to 74 students in grades 4 through 6. Out of the 74 students, 10 transferred from in-district and 3 transferred from out-of-district. At the secondary level, gifted and high-achieving students access advanced coursework through honors classes in grades 7 and 8, and honors, dual enrollment, and advanced placement courses in grades 9 through 12. The second proposed change addresses the board and Dr. Skinner's goal to expand gifted education services to every LHUSD campus. The proposed change is to guarantee gifted services at all 6 elementary schools by supporting each elementary principal in developing a site-specific K-6 gifted education scope and sequence. This framework will clearly outline how identified students will receive appropriate services at their home campus. This expansion requires careful consideration for several factors. First, additional responsibilities for site principals in program development and oversight. The scope and sequence would require a plan for program design, curriculum and instruction differentiation, a plan to provide for the effective needs of gifted learners, professional development, parent and community involvement, program assessment, and budgeting. The district will support each site in consolidating their individual gifted education plans to create a comprehensive district-wide scope and sequence. This will ensure continuous progress and opportunities across all grades and schools and ensure that any expansion of gifted services is not just a name, but in the creation of exemplary programs that expand student abilities. Another consideration is the professional development needs for our teachers, principals, and counselors to ensure effective differentiation for our advanced learners. As we explore expanding gifted services across all sites, let's examine the program models that are recommended by the Arizona Department of Education. It's important to note that identifying the right model or combination of models should be determined by the specific needs of the gifted student population at each site. Each site needs to identify the spectrum of learning needs for the gifted students they serve and purposefully plan ways to foster, challenge, and expand their development. Offering a continuum of services and providing choice in programming to LHUSD families is ideal to address the vast range of gifted students' learning needs. Some gifted students need acceleration in some or all content areas, some need enrichment, and some need a combination of both. These models represent a multitude of tiers of service for our gifted learners. The first model is our current model used in grades 4 through 6. The full-day self-contained gifted classroom model provides the most comprehensive and intensive tier of service by providing academic acceleration and in-depth learning while maintaining students' participation in regular school activities. This grouping practice gathers students of similar potential or ability together using a national and local norming practice. Grouping gifted learners tends to be the least restrictive environment in which their learning can take place and the most effective and efficient means for schools to provide more challenging coursework, thereby giving these students access to advanced content and providing them with a peer group that allows them to move at a pace that is appropriate for their abilities and allows them to reach their full potential. The benefits are research-based. Gifted students receive structured and consistent services from a gifted endorsed teacher who specifically designs the curriculum, instruction, and opportunities. Students collaborate with other gifted students, and all students are strategically placed for maximum growth opportunity, which guarantees they receive a full day of learning. This is not a secluded setting. Students in this model reap the benefits of both a homogeneous and heterogeneous grouping as they spend the majority of their day in accelerated classes that are appropriate for their abilities, but they mix with the rest of the school population for whole school activities and non-academic subjects. Our LHUSD data supports the effectiveness of this model in both student achievement and growth. The next model option is the cluster grouping model, which places small groups of gifted students within mixed ability classrooms. In this model, gifted students are grouped to address their cognitive abilities, academic, and affective learning needs. By narrowing the ability range in each classroom, teachers can more effectively differentiate instruction. The cluster grouping model offers flexibility to accommodate the varying gifted populations, allowing each site to customize their approach based on the number of identified students and each grade level from year to year. It would allow LHUSD families to choose any elementary school while ensuring their gifted students receive full-day gifted services in Tier 1 and Tier 2 instruction. A consideration for successful implementation of this model is the importance of administrator, counselor, and teacher training and implementation of differentiated instruction for advanced learners to meet the gifted students' academic and affective needs. And another consideration is that the majority of our elementary schools have only 2 teachers per grade level. So it would be we'd have to be flexible to consider they couldn't implement this with fidelity because there would still be a full range of ability and achievement levels in each classroom. Okay, the third option that ADE recommends are our partial day models. So we have 2 different things. We have a push-in and a pull-out. There's 2 different types of pull-out models. The first one is content replacement model. This is where students received advanced instruction in specific subject areas in their specific area of strength. The other one is a pull-out enrichment model. This was where they are able to work with their gifted peers in an area that develops exploration of a specific content that maybe is a specialty at that site. In the push-in model, they would work with a gifted specialist who would either individually or in small group go into the regular classroom during specific academic times. While these models offer valuable opportunities for enrichment and acceleration, there are important considerations. These models require additional staffing. So for example, it might be a counselor, an interventionist, special education teacher, or general education teacher that is providing these services in addition to their regular duties. And if it's used as a standalone service, partial day models may not fully satisfy the ARS requirement to provide an educational program that is an integral part of the regular school day and works best when it's in parallel with a full day model. The key challenge is ensuring appropriate support and differentiation for gifted learners designed around their individual ability profiles throughout the entire school day, not just during this specialized instructional time. Okay, last slide, I promise. The final slide provides our projected 25-26 gifted population numbers by grade level and site. Dr. Skinner has had the opportunity to review the model and the numbers, and she would like to propose the introduction of a gifted pull-out teacher to support gifted services for the 25-26 school year. This teacher could assist in creating the scope and sequence and provide services 1 day a week to the elementary schools until more teachers receive professional development or obtain their endorsement. So for example, LHUSD currently has 5 elementary schools who do not provide gifted services, and with 5 days in a school week, each campus would have access to a gifted teacher 1 day a week. And then she can speak more to that as well, but that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so,
Thank
you so much, Mrs. Tuneman. So before I open up to board discussion, I just want to make a clarification.
Yes.
During this process, there has been some confusion to the community that this board wants to change the current gifted program at Starline Elementary, and that is a false narrative. We have no interest in doing away with the current program. Matter of fact, we want to support that program to the best of our ability. It's an amazing program. It works. The reason for this proposal is because we do have students at other elementary schools, and some of those parents, I've talked to some of those parents. I know you have. Some of the principals have shared with us that these are students that, for various reasons, are not able to attend Starline. Whether it be a transportation issue, family issue, whatever that is. And we have an obligation as a district to take care of all kids. We have an obligation to make sure that we are supporting services for every student in this district. And the Starline model will still exist, and we want to make sure as a board that it is communicated to our gifted families across the district that that is an option for them. Closing that program is not even a forethought for this board or the superintendent. But expanding to all campuses to make sure that we're leaving no gifted student behind. And I do know that we have students right now at all elementary schools that are not able to attend Starline. And we have to make sure that we are able to provide services for them as well. And some of the discussion and conversation with leaders, because we care about how this community feels. And to those of you who showed up tonight to speak to the call to the public, thank you. Your opinion and your feedback matters. And to the kids, can we give the children a hand of applause? So I want to assure you, to the students in the room, your program is not going anywhere. And we are thankful to hear from you tonight. And it takes a lot of guts to get up in a meeting in a room full of adults and talk. And so we are very proud of you for doing that. But back to the discussion at hand, it is important that we make sure that we are providing the best educational opportunities for all students. And we know that there's some things that we have to work through to make that happen. And but I do support this. I'll open up for discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this goes along that tutoring, increasing access to different educational systems. Question, what is the cost of getting a district teacher to get that gifted endorsement?
So I'm going to turn that one over to Lindsay, putting her on the spot.
Yeah. Mrs.
I don't know
Fitterman.
if she'll,
And I do have
and maybe Jamie too. I'm sorry, I don't have a cost analysis on an endorsement.
So there's several different ways to get your endorsement depending on route you take. I know a couple of community colleges offer the endorsement, so I believe it's roughly like $2,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it might be worth a conversation with MCC or whoever comes in later about getting that certification option there. Yeah, I think the push-in, I like that idea. Looking at the numbers of some of the other schools, one in Havasupai, one Jamaica, 3 not huge numbers that could demand a single individual all the time.
Right.
But at least opening it up to getting the access, the push-in model, I like that. And obviously keeping the current system as is, getting as many kids to be able to access that as possible. So definitely support this and looking forward to seeing what we come up with.
And if we're able to open it up to, multiple grade levels, I know we're really wanting to ensure, we talked about the tutoring and the intervention, but on the other side, really ensuring that enrichment process, because if we want to be number one in the state, we need to really make sure we're accessing and making sure that we're identifying all students. So if we can identify those students in kinder and first, our numbers will be larger. We will be able to serve more and make sure that they are receiving extended services, enrichment, those gifted services at a much younger age, and then we have more than a 4%. Our numbers will increase.
Fantastic.
And something I want to add 2 things is in offering to our lower grade levels. I want to ensure that we will also be doing that at Starline Elementary for that program. And I do think, because what is happening in Starline is great, that we monitor the progress of, is this decision negatively affecting the Starline program. And so I think that we monitor that just to ensure that we are continuing to support the full day program. And
a question for the full day program, do they need to be highly gifted in all 3 areas? So say I'm only gifted in one and I'm say slightly deficient in the others. You're in that full day program. Are you then dragging behind in other areas?
So the state, the Arizona Department of Education, if they qualify in one of the batteries, then they're identified as gifted, and then they receive services. And then our gifted endorsed teachers use their ability profile to specifically design the curriculum to meet their strengths.
Okay. So if I'm deficient, or not deficient, but not gifted in one area, I'm still supported by the gifted teacher. Okay.
All right. Member Ramon?
Yes, okay, so if it's $2,000, if it's $2,000 for the gifted endorsement, that might be something that our board considers picking up the tab for. If we have a teacher who's interested, having some sort of application process, and maybe sponsoring teachers who want to go for that endorsement.
Yeah.
If we don't already do that.
Do we cover that cost currently? No, we do not. So, okay. Thank you. I knew somebody in the room would have the answer.
Somebody said it.
Now everybody's going to want to get the.
That's why we'll have an application.
I heard Lisa say
Good job, Lisa.
application process. I heard her clearly say application process.
We haven't had enough committees this week, so we need more committees. For the scope and sequence that we're asking all of our elementary principals to have, if we had one teacher with their gifted endorsement that travels around to each of the 5 school sites, would that teacher be able to help develop the scope and sequence to lessen the burden on each principal? Or, and I guess what I'm asking is, can the same scope and sequence be used at each school site, or does each elementary have to develop one that's specific to their school?
So every 5 years, we're required to submit ours to ADE. So that's the district level one that you would approve before it goes to ADE. The reason why I have up there that each site should then come up with their own scope and sequence before we put it into a district one is, as you've seen, the numbers are very different at each site. The needs are very different at each site, the staffing. So we were supporting them in figuring out what program meets your vision, your goals, how you want to support your gifted students. And that's why it's like right now we're providing some enrichment services, but if we're going to change that enrichment name to gifted services, we need to have a scope and sequence that matches the ADE requirements.
But yes, if we do hire someone to go around and support and do the push, they can absolutely help, because that was one of the considerations, is the lift for principals to do it. So just to kind of clarify, I mean, Lisa's question, that would be something that we would want to ask that GT teacher that's potentially being hired to support and help to write that scope of sequence so that the principals, aren't doing it, in a silo standalone. So yes, so between Jamie, the GT, push in, pull out person, we would want to make sure they have that support in creating it.
And then, that makes sense. Like, if, one kid can have a SUPI, one day a week, they get pulled out and they get a day of specialized teaching and then put back in their class. So that does make sense to have the principal with the teacher to be able to create a program that fits the site. That's all I got.
The only other concern I have is I have heard of a specific program that's really loved by one of our principals. It's called Oceans, and I don't pretend Ocean. I think. Ocean. Yes. Okay. I don't pretend to be conversant on that particular program, but I did want to ask if we implement a gifted program at each of the school sites for one day a week, would principals be able to retain some of those programs that they're already using and liking and having success with, or would we be asking everyone to kind of start from scratch and use a district platform instead?
And again, I'm just
jump in. No, yeah, I was going to, yeah.
So when we think about, so the Ocean program is specific to Nautilus, and I believe that's the name that they gave it. It's not like a program that they're getting a curriculum from. It's the program that they use. So when we think about that enrichment program and thinking about that we can apply those services to our gifted students, but also it's open to other students as well. So it's still considered enrichment, but when we call it gifted services, it has to be for that student's ability profile. It can't be just a canned program that we're going to just give all these students. It's very specific to their strengths, because when we think about gifted students, it's potential. So unless they're given those experiences and those opportunities and that very specific curriculum and differentiation, they might not reach their potential.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
And especially if we're giving the principal the able to, I guess if what she's saying is that specifically the gift program, I don't see any reason to remove any of the other tools.
No, not at all.
So I would support keeping things that the principal views as valuable and this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
In addition to.
Okay. Any other further discussion? All right. At this time, item 5.4, budget and audit findings. The governing board approved a budget review in January of 2025. James Briscoe of Briscoe Consulting Group this evening will present the budget audit findings. And we are bringing him. All right, good evening, Mr. Briscoe. Can you hear me? Mr. Briscoe, are you able to hear me? Apparently not.
connecting audio.
Oh, okay. He is connected.
Mr. Briscoe, are you good?
You gotta love technology.
Mr. Briscoe, can you hear us?
Mr. Briscoe, can you hear us?
The word earlier, give me a second.
I didn't miss anything.
Oh, he had to disconnect his phone for that. Mr. Briscoe, can you hear us now?
All right, we can come back to him. We do have another presentation if you want to communicate with him and while we have our other presentation. At this time, we'll come back to item 5.4. Item 5.5, Child Watch Overwatch presentation. I've invited them to be here this evening. Child Overwatch is going to be presenting a product to design enhanced student safety. I had the great opportunity in being in a presentation that they did to some community elected officials between the school district and the city, and they have proposed using our district as a test model for their program. And as we look at school safety and enhancing our school safety around all of our campuses, this is an item that we definitely would like to take a look at.
Thank you, Mr. President, Board. My name is Justin. I am with Child Overwatch. We are an advanced technology security company. With the rising threat that we all can see to our children that is happening around us, we have created a software program that we would like to show to you today. An approval for a pilot program would be the first in the nation for something like this to ever take place. So there will be a lot of questions. We're going to stay afterwards for anybody that has any questions, want to see a live feed go through. I brought with me today Stephen Elizondo, who is the owner and CEO, and Jason Peters, who is our research and developer, who will be giving a demo. So thank you.
So I think it's important to say, what do we do, right? We are using AI facial recognition to identify anybody who's ever been convicted of a sex offense and is on the registries, on the national registries. This isn't something, we don't usually go into about ourselves, but in AI, there's a lot of concern right now. One is you have a very uneducated mass. What is artificial intelligence? And we're making it worse as technologists because we are empowering people who aren't technologists to create technology. And that is a huge threat. We've all heard it. Hey, I built my website, with ChatGPT in 5 minutes. I won't go into the problems with that, but what I will say is that I am not that person. I have been involved in artificial intelligence and machine learning since approximately 2001. I was speaking about security and advanced security around artificial intelligence for the government and for public entities in 2019, which was a year and a half before ChatGPT was released for even a beta. So we do have experience. We've taken that and we've built a system that isn't just looking, hey, it's using AI and it's trying to identify these people. I also did 8 years as a United States Marine, and so we do not capture or store, we do not sell, we do not take your data in any way. We do not take the videos that are captured by the people who run our system. So when our systems ran, a proprietary algorithm is run on your computer in your environment. It sends proprietary data back to us, it gets analyzed, and that's how we perform the matches on the faces. We do not take the video, nor do we take the images from your system unless a match is made. So with all of that being said on what we do, we'll talk about the threat. Currently within the United States, there's almost 800,000 people just on the registries. These are convicted sex offenders. Next slide, please. Why would we care about that? Why would we say, hey, this is how we're going to protect kids? Because statistically we know this is a huge threat. Within 3 years, 5.3% of all convicted sex offenders will commit another sexual offense. Not just another crime, another offense. Within 10 years, it's 20%, and within 15 years, it's 24%, or 1 in 4 people will commit another sex crime after being released. I don't want to comment on the laws or anything. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a public official. I'm a geek behind a computer, but I'm also a father. I have kids. I'm lucky enough, 2 have already got through high school. I got 1 going as a freshman next year. I want them protected. That's why we came up with this. This isn't something where we spend all our time and energy thinking, we're going to make $1 million, off of AI. I actually spent a year now trying to make this affordable for people. So it's definitely something that's a passion project, but it's something that's very effective. Next slide, please. So how do our solutions work? We really have 3 core fundamental solutions. One is an easily deployed solution for small business. You have a small dance studio, you have a small karate studio. Who's coming in there? We know that these people are going there and taking pictures because we've seen it in the news. We've done the research. In our own hometown of Temecula, California, we had one 2 months ago. Convicted sex offender found at a school event where they were doing dance competitions. It's horrible. So we have 3 different solutions. One is our USB camera, we call it Monitor. It can be deployed in any small location where you have concerns, people are coming in. We can also adapt that system to work in larger environments. So if you were hosting a cheer competition somewhere and you don't have access to the internet, we can actually adapt that solution to run facial recognition without the internet. It's a little bit different. For the school board, though, and what we're trying to get in for a pilot is our overlay solution. One of the big things we recognized was small businesses, school boards, school systems, you already have cameras. You don't want to invest in another camera, yet another thing to take care of. I worked in IT security for 20 years, did the big audits for all these people. If you have one more extra thing, that's just one more thing that's going to get broken, stolen, or lost, right? So what we've done is I wrote a piece of software that actually works with your existing cameras. Without the need to integrate, I don't have to license to them. I'm not beholden to what they do. If you have a web interface on your camera, we can monitor it and use facial recognition. Same security that we've already put in place on all other solutions. It's your software, it gets installed on your system, and nothing comes off of it except proprietary data that in no way can be linked back to anyone. It's just measurements of your face. We don't measure body, we don't take hair color, we only look at facial analysis. And because we don't keep the video, we don't keep the pictures unless there's a violation, our security of our data is pretty rock solid, but on top of it, we just don't have the data to be stolen. Why do you rob banks? That's where the money is, right? Why do people break into Visa? Why do people break? That's where the credit cards are. We recognize right away, we are a data company, right? We're taking data and we're comparing it. And the first thing I did was I got rid of as much as I could. So we do not keep your data. I can't stress that one enough. And then we have custom facial catalogs and systems where for cities, say they have a sensitive area, we don't care who's going necessarily. We just want to make sure that the wrong people aren't going there. So anybody who's not an employee. So we do negative lookups, etc. Next slide, please. So, great picture. Obviously, I am the nerd in the company, right? I have my costume on and everything. So what's happening here, though? How does facial recognition actually occur? It's not what a lot of people think. The way we work is I take 1,024 measurements of a face. You can see it kind of there through the web, the blue line. If you've ever watched a show where they do facial reconstruction, they pick out all those special points on a face. Those are all known points, and we use those the same way, except instead of recreation from cadaver where they use depth markers, I use the measurements in between each of those and the measurements of the angles created by all those lines. Using that in 1,024, I can get very accurate results, right? It's never 100%. Nothing's ever 100% in technology. Anybody who tells you that is a liar. But this is as accurate as you can get, and because we believe in our country, because we believe in the Constitution, we have gone with the idea of it's better that 100 guilty men go free than one innocent man goes to jail. So the parameters on our ability to match, I'm currently calculating the 7 decimal points. So we are really making sure that when we alert you, this is the person that we say it is. Next slide, please. Couple things I already talked about. So how our system works, we do take 1,024 measurements of the face. It takes less than 1 second to compare that against 60,000 records right now. And then we're able to send SMS or web alerts. We're currently looking, this is very nerdy, but under 500 milliseconds for a return against 60,000 records. And that's from visual capture to SMS alert hitting your phone. Obviously, things vary, and I'm a technologist, so you should take that with a grain of salt. Things will impact that. But for the most part, that's what we've seen testing in California and Arizona. Next slide, please, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
When you say they're sent for comparison, where are they sent to?
That's a great question. So what we do is we have cloud servers right now within the United States. I am a cloud architect, if anybody cares, but we made sure they were in the United States so we don't fall outside of U.S. laws. Other countries can do what they want with our data, but I am 100% positive that AWS, Amazon Web Services, who we use in the cloud, they follow the law within the U.S. as long as we keep it within U.S. servers, and we've done that. So where does it go physically? It stays within the United States. And then who has access to it? I'm the only person in the world that has access to that data right now. So, not really. Steve knows if I die, he gets an email that says, here's the password to all the data. So, but this is not something that I'm letting just anybody come in and access. This is something that's very sensitive, and we've made sure that it is in compliant environments. As far as specific locations, your data never lands anywhere and is never stored anywhere physical that we have control over. It's just all in the cloud unless something occurs. Does that answer your question?
It does answer my question.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
How many of you guys have gone on the registry and looked for pedophiles or sexual offenders? Why did you go on there?
I wanted to know what was in my neighborhood.
Why did you go on there?
Interested because my grandson was hurt.
The bottom line is that registry is only used right now pretty much to identify homes that you are purchasing or living in, right? There is no other form of identifying these creeps pretty much except child overwatch, and we've created that system. So I just want everybody to understand what we're doing here, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring Jason back.
No, this is perfect, actually. In addition, right, like I said, I was a Marine, Steve was in the Navy. Justin is a longtime member of this community that people might know. We're giving back, too. So this isn't just we're trying to make a buck off of creeps. All of our data will actually be ran through, and obviously we will analyze for people on the registry. In addition, a secondary analysis occurs within our systems to look for anybody on the National Missing and Exploited Children's Database. Those responses are controlled by us. If we get an alert, it goes to us. We facilitate contact with law enforcement. There's been too many bad outcomes of people trying to do the right thing. So I did the research and I said, this is probably the best if we'll contact law enforcement and say, hey, there's a possible match. Here's the data that we have. Please pursue this accordingly. Obviously, we will work with our client. Hey, this has occurred, and if a school system or a public entity will be fully briefed. So,
2,300 children go missing every day in the United States. Think about that.
yeah.
And most of you wouldn't even come close to that number.
So this won't be just scanning the adults who come into our schools, it will be scanning the children as well.
That's a great question. So currently, the way the solution is set up by default, you opt into this, is it's non-age discriminant. But if we have an organization, they say, hey, we're really sensitive, we don't want any of our kids' faces analyzed, I can do that. Now, age is obviously, it's not something that we can absolutely measure. Sometimes I think I'm 39, sometimes it's closer to my real age. But we will set it, hey, if it appears that this person is a minor, we can filter that out. So the measurements themselves will never be even analyzed.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
It does, but so our high school is a mix of
Mhm.
children and adults as students. I mean, some of our
Sure.
students are 18, so, okay.
We don't store any of that data. Yeah, so that's what I was going to just.
Right, but then I do believe that it creates a duty for our board to make sure that our parents know that if they're sending their kids to one of our schools, their kids are going to be scanned with technology that they might not be comfortable with.
And so, just to
Yes, sir.
flush out how it works a little bit here. So in essence, you have a server which has all these photos of predators. Now, question on that. Where do you get your photos?
We get it directly from the registries.
Okay, directly from the registries. Now, how quickly do you update after the conviction? So as soon as it hits the registry, you automatically taking it. How quickly is your refresh rate?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a couple factors that go into that. So I can talk about our process and then talk about the kind of the hindrances to our process, right? So our process is that we monitor, and anytime there's a delta or a change, we identify it, and then we true up. So if, like California doesn't make a notice, right? So when we search the California, if I notice that, hey, a name is missing or a new name's been added, then we true up the database.
Okay.
Arizona, right now, it looks like it's by jurisdiction. They're managing the individual registries.
Each sheriff's office.
Yeah, and then states like Texas, I actually get an email anytime there's a change. So as soon as they email me, hey, and they give me a list. These are the people who came off. These are the people who went on. So our process is as soon as there's a change, we want to make the update. The hindrances are that each municipality, each area within the country, and it's not just the states, right? Because we have all of the Native American, and then we have the U.S. territories. And so there's actually over 200 registries just for the United States.
Wow.
What's cool about our system is right now we have Arizona and California, right? But eventually if a pedophile from New York comes over to Arizona, to your town, you will get an alert from that. As we progress in our process and get with the states to actually download their data, we'll get better and better. Right now we can do Arizona and California. Eventually we'll have all 50 states, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fantastic.
It makes it better.
Yeah, so how the system works, you have all these photos in a database, right? You have a camera that is pinging data points. In essence, a face is a data point. That sends it to your system, and unless there's a ping, a match, nothing happens with it. That data just gets passed through.
Yeah, so essentially what happens is, without getting into like the proprietary aspects of how I made it cheaper, when we analyze the face, we are only sending, we don't send back like an image or a video like other people do. We send back the measurements along with just a couple key pieces of information, none of which is able to be tied back to a location.
Okay.
If that makes sense. And then the call goes back to one cloud service provider for the match, and then we use different providers when we have more data than just measurements.
Okay.
So we have additional security.
So if it's like the kid issue, our students, it doesn't hold on to their image or hold on to their measurements in any ways.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, I have no idea who you are if you're not on the register.
And it doesn't store that measurement anywhere. Nope. If it doesn't match, it's gone.
If it doesn't match, it's gone.
Now, how about deployment to large spaces? So say basketball games, football games, track meets, things like that nature. Is it, set up a camera, it's going to track everybody within the space and hit the data points, or is it a checkpoint scan?
Yeah, that's a great question. Some will work a little bit differently. It depends. There's a lot of variables in that, but I'll give you kind of the easy version. Is our base system that just runs off a USB cam can do 100 faces at once.
Okay.
If your camera is better than our HP USB cam, so I saw the cameras in here, these are definitely higher quality, you'll be able to do much more.
Okay.
So, and then if you have more cameras, you can segment a room, and there's a lot of variables, but for the most part, we can do up to 100 faces off any USB webcam.
Okay.
I have a question in regards to who is contacted. For example, if we move forward with the pilot of this, we want to be cautious, obviously, as a board, who the point of contact is. And you brought up a very good point. For example, let's say our AA at one of our elementary schools is the person that gets the call, and that person could respond, not in such a good, get off the campus, and we want to be careful who's handling it. Can we determine with you who the first initiation of contact is with?
Yeah, because of the sensitivity of this software, for 20 years I just did credit card security and encryption. Nobody cares about that, right? It's like, oh yeah, I want to protect my credit card, but we really see how well people protect their credit card. Privacy, right, is a totally different animal, and it's something that we do take very seriously. So we've taken a lot of measures to ensure that we have that privacy in place, and one of those is when we do a deployment, whether we're doing it at the restaurant or we're doing it here with the school district, is I am personally going to come out here and work with you to understand who do you want notified, how fast do you want them notified, how do you want them notified. The software I've built is very modular, so we could be flexible to really see any need.
Mr. Rose, you choose who you.
Yeah, you have ultimate control.
Security team's got an iPad.
Right.
They're scanning the room, they get a notification, hey, we just had someone walk into the gymnasium that's triggered our alert. Hey guys, let's maybe go have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And then additionally, I've done a lot of architecture on the granularity of rights. So just because somebody is in the school district and they have an account to be able to log in and work with it, they're only going to be able to see a subset of things that their account can do.
Yeah, like alerts, not the feed.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
okay. And then you said to the 7th decimals, sig figs are good on that. But what's false positives?
Yeah.
Is there
Great
false
question.
What's the rate?
There are false positives. I mean, it's something that people will try. The other snake oil salesman will try to tell you, oh no, it's perfect. Look, I mean, you don't have to be an engineer to figure out that if my son looks like me, and it take two pictures, right? Is that me 20 years ago? Well, longer than that now, but 30 years ago, or is that him today, right? And so you have the father-son paradox. You have twins, natural doppelgangers. So there is a possibility, but the average match, any math teachers in here? We're going to get really nerdy. Everybody else skipped math when they got sine, cosine, right, and got excited. We use sine, cosine match, Acosta 1024, and it's not, I always have to correct people, it's not a percentage, we look at distance, and so if 0 is, I don't know what this is, -1 is the total opposite, and +1 is a match. I'm currently skewing to 0.881627, so it has to be, it's not an 88% match, it's that the skew between all those 1,024 measurements is so close to perfect that it's right there. And
the bottom line is our system is an awareness system. Alerts you, allows you to see a visual of the person, and then you take it how you want to at that point. It's an awareness program to alert you of potential predators at your school or at your facilities.
So I am actually a prosecutor in the county. And something we
There's the questions.
Yeah. So in Arizona, registered sex offenders for life. So they might have it terminated in, say, Washington. They're no longer on that registry, but if they come here, they're required to register within 72 hours. Are we able to capture those people? So they say they haven't come in here and registered here. They're coming from, say, Washington, a state who's more liberal and will... Eventually.
As long as the Washington
registry is up to date.
Registry is up to date.
So, in essence, there would be a small hole there. So, if their registry has removed that predator, but they're required to register here, that would be a gap.
Okay. That is a gap.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And
Now-
it's one that we've tried to look at.
And just so you know, a partner of ours is legal, and if you have any questions legally, we'll send an
Well, I'd
email
like to
out.
see you get this with the sheriff's office to help.
Actually, we met with the sheriff and the chief of police.
Yeah.
Chief, I'm sorry.
And go talk to Sheriff Schuster too.
Yeah. But yeah, if you have any legal questions, we can handle that through our counsel ourselves.
No, this is a fantastic product, and I definitely would be interested in a pilot.
Well, you guys will be the first ones to run in the nation, and we chose you guys because Justin knows everybody here.
We're glad you love us.
And we wanted to start it off in Arizona versus California, where we're from.
Yeah.
Because you guys understand California.
Yes. So, and I guess currently, are you pulling from the registers of all states, or just the states that are sending to you?
Right now we have complete registries for California and Arizona. But different states, the way they handle it, and then like Arizona, you've outsourced your registry to a third party. And that third party saw me trying to get their data, and they have since made it really hard to get the data. They changed the web application. So we're dealing with each state and then submitting public records requests and trying to churn through that.
Okay.
Because obviously there's questions, but it's public information.
Yep.
So
They
when I
should
say
get
I
it
get
to
it
you.
directly from the registry, I mean, I literally go to the registry and just grab their data.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take, people to make awareness that we need this information to protect
Yeah.
our kids. So
Yeah, put you
it's
in-
gonna take time, but
put
once
in
we
contact
deploy
with
this,
Raleigh.
it should get out, the word gets out, and then we can actually start extracting that data and making it,
Yeah. Well, and it just, one of your strengths of the system, I pointed out a weakness, one of the strengths is by measurement of the face, you know, beards or facial, you know, tattoo removals, it's not based off the picture, it's based off the measurements, which are very difficult to change.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
they're,
that's
they're
a
really
strength.
hard to change. It's not to say that, you know, there aren't issues, right? And again, it's all on the data that I get from the different states. How serious do they take their registry?
Yeah.
You know,
and the bottom line is, we're gonna be back there showing a presentation if you guys wanna actually see it working at the end. I know, I don't wanna take all your time because I know you guys are at time restriction.
I got interested.
You know, we were told 10 minutes and I think we're closer to 20 already.
So if you
So-
could stay for a couple questions. So I'm
Sure.
piloting this program. Are you looking to pilot at one school or all campuses?
All if we can.
yeah, I mean, there's a couple different ways we could handle it, but one of the ways I like doing, you know, software deployments in larger environments is by a phased approach. Up in one, you know, demonstrate in three, and then move out pervasively so that everybody can see the benefit. But I like moving a little bit slower like that so we can identify little things like, oh, there's cellular area in this place, or the Wi-Fi is impacted, or maybe we've got a camera and it's in the AV lab, and so during certain periods, you're gonna get a lot of burst rate data through there, and so it's gonna impact.
Having Havasu be the first one, we'd love to deploy it in as many schools. Your swim facility over there.
The aquatic center.
The aquatic center. I mean, these guys are looking for kids swimming, you know, kids.
Target-rich environments.
They're targeting that. So if you guys can help us out, we'll deploy them, run our pilot program with those, and we'll catch some creeps.
I think what I would like to do, and we'll open up for discussion from the board, is I think it'd be important for you to meet in a meeting with all of our principals.
Absolutely.
That way they can ask the questions that they have that affects their campus, and you can have more time to give them more information of how this can be a great tool for their campuses. So.
And then I would also say, one, obviously cost will need to be discussed, what it would cost the district to do this, but also I'd like to get with legal on the issue Lisa brought up of just making sure we have a very tight process for notification and, you know, opt-in, opt-out type stuff. So.
Yeah, cost is definitely, I mean, that was our biggest thing. When I started first doing research on, hey, we're gonna build AI facial recognition, the commercially available solutions out there right now that I could have used and made it cheap were about $5,000 for 8 hours of video monitoring. I spent a year architecting it, and we're currently doing one camera for $100 a month, 24/7 all-you-can-eat monitor.
Wow.
Wow.
There you go.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I did have one more. Okay, so when you say you're piloting this would be your first public school system. Do you have this program at any private schools or any like retail centers, or what is your previous experience?
we ran alphas inside of locations inside California
Mhm.
for retail locations, so we were able to see the system running in the wild. And unfortunately, I mean, to be honest, we're selling against the hardest thing in the world to sell against, which is do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, there's no motivation in our home state to do anything. We went to dance.
Well, they just denied a bill to make it an automatic felony to purchase sex from a 16 to 17-year-old, so I can understand the pushback. But here,
Government-wise, you guys are the first.
yeah.
Okay.
Right, we
Okay.
do have private facilities. I mean, we got one going in Parker next
Yes.
week. So I mean,
gonna.
yeah. So,
cool.
but
Awesome.
but government-wise, you guys are the first, and you guys are going to be known that
Yeah.
you piloted our program once we get out there.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely interested. I'd like to circle back with you and see what we can
Any
work out.
other further questions from the board? No. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much.
All right. Back to 5.4.
Oh, man.
If we're able to log him on. If not, then we will move on.
I warned you. I told you it was going to be long. That's our business person issue.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to try and log back in.
Tell her no questions yet.
Okay. While they log in, we can move to 5.6, Governing Board Daytona Property. The Governing Board is going to discuss and hear from the public regarding options for the district property that formerly was occupied by ASU. So we had asked, Member Rahman specifically had asked that for one more time, that we open up to the public in this evening's meeting to hear from you of potential opportunities that you would like to see at that campus. I can tell you that there are potential partners that have approached the governing board and the city. At this time, we're not able to discuss who those are to respect their privacy. But before we move forward in those conversations, the board feels it's important to hear from you, the stakeholders of our community. So at this time, we will open it up for discussion. If there's anyone that would like to speak, please come to the mic. State your name. You have 1 minute.
I gotta get up first. The first question that came to mind, and you mentioned this before in other meetings, is if you're going to ask for our input, you need to say what kind it is and what it's going to cost. There's going to be all kinds of different acquisitions that want that property and how much it's going to cost. And it's going to be a wide range of money.
Anyone else? Okay, if no one else, I will open it up for board discussion.
So just going forward, I think if people still have ideas that they want to submit, but they weren't maybe here or prepared to speak, you can always submit those. And please, if you do submit them, it'd be helpful to submit them to the entire board so that we all have the same pieces of information to work from.
Yes.
We did, can I disclose the amount that the
Yes,
appraisal was, or
absolutely,
do you
yes.
want to?
Yes, we did have an appraisal done on the property, and I will let you.
It was 11 million, but I don't have the exact figure. Do you have the exact figure?
A little over 11 million.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like $11.7 million that property is worth.
So it is a high dollar asset. I mean, we already knew that, but it is a high dollar asset, and we want to make sure that we do the correct thing with that campus, the one that's going to be the most beneficial. I mean, we are a school district, and so our number one priority is or should be student success.
Yep.
And we want to choose an option that best sets up our students for success.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Well said. I got that.
Thank you. All right, this time, we'll go back to item 5.4, budget audit findings. Mr. Briscoe, good evening.
Can you hear us, Mr. Briscoe?
Be alert.
Mr.
He's muted.
Oh. Could you unmute him? Are you able to?
You can ask and unmute.
I'll.
We can hear you. Lovely Zoom.
Grab it on the HDMI mic.
Just try the other ones if you can't want. Sometimes it just.
It shows right here that he's got.
Yeah, but he's not. He's clearly not hearing us.
He's not hearing us at all.
So our mics are down. So just
Yeah.
fidget around with your microphones. Yeah.
Thank you, someone that can help us.
Oh, he's not. He's not.
Can you hear us now, Mr. Briscoe?
No. He was talking. We didn't hear him.
Can you hear us now?
We're getting microphone input. We have green signal on our audio, so we are picking up, but we're not pushing out.
You could do that. You've done that before.
Yeah, just call them and put them on speaker and put them next to a microphone.
Yeah.
Or we can move it to,
Or we can move it next week. It's already
I know,
8
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
if
that.
this is going to be a recap, definitely, I think
Yeah.
we could
Yeah.
just move it.
Move it next
Yeah.
week. Okay.
so what we'll do, if we can't get him on, we'll move it to the next governing board meeting. All right, moving on, action items, item 6.1, human resources, changes to substitute pay. Mrs. Bitterman.
I think we decided. Give him a minute to. Give me 1 second. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I gotta let him know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lisa wasn't.
Here, do you want to, Leanna?
Yeah, let me get your agenda up. Hold on.
Okay, thank you. Mr. President, members of the board, before you tonight, we have a recommendation regarding substitute compensation. A little history, each year the classified substitute wage has increased in accordance with Arizona state minimum wage requirements. To ensure we are offering a competitive rate that is commensurate with the increases to the classified substitute wage, we're also requesting to increase the pay scale for certified substitutes to prevent compression in pay scales and to continue to attract substitutes. Certified substitute rates were last updated July 1, 2023, and in that same time frame, classified wages have increased from $13.85 per hour to $14.70 per hour. Before you tonight, you can see the current pay structure that exists, and our proposed changes would include increasing the certified pay from $130 to $140 per day for days 1 through 15. That's considered a short-term assignment. And for our certified teachers who are in a position for 16 days or longer, or they are filling a vacancy, we would propose that they would earn $175 per day. The classified rate, we do have a little restructure here just for your consideration. We propose that we would keep that aligned with Arizona state minimum wage for a short-term assignment, 1 to 15 days. But on occasion, our support staff, such as a personal care assistant, a special education parapro, they do require long-term leave as well. And for continuity of services for those students, we would like to offer a long-term rate, which would be a 75-cent per hour increase for days 16 or longer. Or if we're unable to hire for one of those critical areas, we would like to recognize that by giving them that little bit of a pay increase.
All right. Thank you. At this time, any discussion from the board members before a vote?
Seems a reasonable pay increase, especially as the rates have gone up. Thank you for the proposal.
Yep. And so much of the success of our students and their day-to-day school experience does rely on us having a good pool of substitutes. And it has been kind of hard to keep that substitute pool up. So anything that we can do to encourage people to do this, I'm in favor of it.
Absolutely. All right, at this time, call for a vote.
I move to approve action item 6.1 as is.
And I will second.
Lisa Roman?
Yes.
Matthew Houston?
Yes.
David Rose?
Yes. All right, item 6.2, special education, Teach Town curriculum.
President Rose, members of the board, Dr. Skinner, community. I'm here to talk to you today about a proposal for curriculum. To properly provide an Arizona standards-based curriculum for students with significant intellectual disabilities, a curriculum that meets their specific needs must be adopted and procured. Teach Town's curriculum is an adapted, comprehensive core curriculum with hands-on, interactive lessons and independent technology-delivered lessons for students with moderate to severe disabilities. It provides instruction on adaptive and functional skills with scaffolding for students to learn independence. Jigsaw Learning, LLC, DBA Teach Town, would be procured as a sole source as it is unique in its approach to curriculum in that it is specifically designed for students with severe cognitive delays. Teach Town uses a variety of modalities to meet the needs of each student while ensuring the student is still exposed to grade level state standards. In addition, Teach Town also provides ongoing professional development to support the implementation of the curriculum and use of the curriculum to monitor IEP goal progress. This approval will be for a pilot of the program for the 25-26 school year to be used in the developmental preschool, self-contained classes at Jamaica and Thunderbolt. The quote is part of the TIPS contract. For academic and educational goods, it will be paid from funds from the IDEA grant in an amount not to exceed $110,000.
All right, thank you. At this time, I will open up for discussion. I do have a question, and maybe Member Rahman or the superintendent can answer this. Does this fall under the same rules of making this curriculum available to the community before adopted for review?
Since it's a pilot, it doesn't.
Okay.
If we were to fully move to adoption, then we would do the 60-day review.
Okay.
Is my understanding.
Yeah, maybe just check with legal on that.
That is a very good question, and I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I was bringing the Kim Sutton, because it was supplementary. I was told that in, the board and the community, that was something that we would always bring to you as far as supplemental. So let me make sure I get with Allie, and I'll talk with Teach Town. I know it's sole source, but we still probably need to review what the,
In my past experience, I have used this curriculum and piloted it in my previous district.
And-
As a pilot, we did not release it for the 60 days.
Correct. I know
It
sole
was just
source,
the
we do not
board
have to.
approval to use it.
Correct.
as
So
a
I know
pilot.
sole source, that's correct. We don't have to do that. So this is, I'm sorry. Supplemental. Let me correct myself. So this is a supplemental for these
or are
students.
you wanting to make it a core?
This is a core as our students with intellectual disabilities and severe cognitive disabilities in our programs at Jamaica, at the preschool, and at Thunderbolt, those teachers have no curriculum to use for these
Correct.
students. There is not really a curriculum out there like this. We have tried to use STAR as a district. STAR is specifically for students with autism and does not offer all of the various components. So this is to give teachers something, because they have nothing right now and are
Yeah.
piecemealing
It's-
together.
okay, so, and this will be implemented in the next
In
semester
July,
coming. Okay,
correct.
In July. So we'll, if we take a moment to get this, just make sure we've got our ducks in a row with legal, and bring it back on the next and approve. Because, we absolutely need a good curriculum for that.
Absolutely.
I think it's 1 in 34 students now have some intellectual disability, so it is pervasive. And so having a curriculum that supports and benefits them, I think, is an absolute requirement. So thank you for bringing this before us. I love that it's being paid through grants. That's exactly what we want. So I think it looks very promising. Just looking at it briefly, it looks like it's K2 basically all the way through high school.
They do have a high school program. Our high school teachers really have a great thing going.
Okay.
So it's an option to consider eventually, but right now they have something that is working phenomenally.
So in the
where our
package-
other teachers don't.
So in this package, I see Encore K through 12.
Yes.
Would we be implementing some of this at the high school?
No,
or none
it's
of this
just
at the high
that's the
school?
licensing is the
Okay.
K-12. It's a
So-
K-12
So
license
we
for
are
the
somewhat
online.
paying for it, but not going to utilize it.
Well, it's a license
I
per
guess-
student,
Okay.
so
Okay.
yes.
So if we move this to my question for you, because I think this is amazing, so please don't think I'm in opposition of this.
Yeah.
We need this. We have to strengthen special ed in this community.
Yeah.
And this is one of those proponents to make that happen. I just want to make sure that as a board, that
Yes.
we're in line with policy to make on, when it comes to curriculum
Any
and
actions
and with law. But my question was, if we push this off to next month's meeting, will that put you in a bad position?
We will
with-
not have physical goods by the time school starts. I
And
don't
that was-
believe.
What's the drop dead date? To get,
In our district by the end of June, right? 'Cause that's
so if we didn't if we just got.
We did a special session maybe next week.
We just
That
need to,
would-
I just need to check, we just need to check with the attorney, what do we got to do?
And he's available if we want to call him.
Yeah, up to you. I'm fine with calling him and checking real quick.
Our counsel is available.
If we want to table this
If
real
we,
quick.
if
we'll
we
come
want
back
to
it.
go into executive session,
I
call
don't even
him.
think you need to go
We
to
don't need-
executive
We can
session. I
just
think you
reach
can
him?
just
Yeah,
call
just
him
call
right
him.
Okay,
now.
I'll go call him. I'll step out and call him real quick. Stay right.
Thank you, sorry.
No, absolutely. Thanks for bringing this to us. Another one bites the dust. Outlast. We'll teach you to come to a school board meeting.
What's that?
We'll teach you to come to a school board meeting. We'll be here till 10 o'clock.
That used to be pretty standard, actually. Like 3 or 4 hour meetings was pretty standard.
Yeah, some in Texas go to midnight.
Yeah.
Some districts.
Ugh.
And then you go to executive session, come back, it's like.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gone.
Leanna, if the board has questions for business, she's still on standby. She is on standby. Just tell her to stand by. Yeah, I just didn't know if the board had questions. And all those cards, do you want us all wrapped together? Okay. I just thought that would be all.
I got too much caffeine. I gotta pee again.
The board shall approve all, I'm just looking at the policy, the board shall approve all supplemental funds used in work.
Yeah, I just want to see if we have ARS requirement to. Yeah.
There are snacks back there.
I was pulling up the policy, the stuff, I mean, the board shall adopt a periodic.
No, that's a good question. I didn't even think about it.
Because I was thinking, I mean, just when I was reading it, when it talks about, board shall adopt. Parents will not, shall approve all supplemental books used in course of
Me, like,
I thought so too, but since he was gonna, that's why I was like, let me pull it up one more That's why I was asking you, supplemental
We're good.
Oh, we are? Okay, because I pulled up the policy. Because it talks about the board shall approve all books and stuff, so I just wanted to make sure.
We're good.
make sure you say that. Put Tom Carn's name on the
I
line
will.
up here.
Yes, that's right. That way, if it's a problem.
Yeah. Blame Tom. Talk to Tom Horn about it.
All right, there we go. Wait a minute. That's one to make sure.
No, I'm glad you said that because, like, oh, wait a minute, yeah.
Yeah. I know people are like, oh, here we go. Stay. That's what I'm telling your wife. They're good.
I think that's how they're chatting.
Just keep standing there, Alan. Good.
Thanks. Start posing.
Okay, so we've spoke with council, And so council was unsure, so we called Superintendent Horn. And our state superintendent has, along with council, has informed us that we are good to move forward with adoption.
Okay.
So at this time, I need a motion from our board.
I'll move to approve 6.2.
I second.
I did want to say one thing. So we already talked about how this is funded by the IDEA grants. I know we're hearing a lot, and especially in national news, about defunding certain things and grants being put in jeopardy. And I just want to stress that this is one way that our district really relies on federal grants to provide education for our kids.
And just, that grant is still here, but there has been significant cuts to that grant for next school year, so call and talk to people, we need the money.
Okay.
Our kids need that.
Okay. All right. We're ready for roll call for the vote. Oh, do we have a second?
I second, yeah.
Thank you.
Lisa Vermont,
Yes.
Matthew Houston,
Yes.
David Rose.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try and connect the Zoom for 6.3 for.
If the board had questions, she is
Oh.
on standby.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Maria, so we
So-
don't have questions and we don't have to, but I just.
All
want
right,
her-
6.3, school meal prices. Mrs. Staff, are you presenting this?
I think so.
Yes. Thank
I
you.
wasn't formally told to.
First, before you speak,
Yes.
I want to commend you and your team and Tarhar for, as you know, we were the first school district in the nation to ban chemicals and food dyes in our school lunches. And whenever we begin this conversation, you were a critical part of this and a huge help to myself, to even to the state. A lot of your input really helped define the state bill. And I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but it did. And so your input has not just helped for what is happening in this district or with the state bill for the state of Arizona, but also what will begin to happen around the nation. So thank you for your hard work, your dedication to this district and to our kids, and we owe you a huge thank you and a hand of.
Thank you. And actually, to kind of segue on that, I was in Phoenix last week meeting with legislators because, like everyone else, we're getting budget cuts too. And Mr. Biasucci reached out to me and to Chef Chris and wants us to be part of a roundtable in Phoenix on the 30th.
Yes, I'll be there.
So, yeah, great.
Awesome.
Okay. Mr. President, members of the board, USDA requires that there is equity in school lunch pricing, a provision that requires school districts to charge students for paid meals at a price that is, on average, equal to the difference between free meal reimbursement, $4.35, plus we get another 9 cents for our menus, and the amount of paid meal reimbursement, which is 50 cents, so that's $3.85. Schools that currently charge less for meal prices than the amount needed to create paid lunch equity are required to gradually increase prices over time until they meet the requirement or supplement their food service operating funds with non-federal funds to ensure equity. And this is a historical data of where we've been the last few years. So we're asking for an increase of 10 cents at breakfast and 10 cents at lunch. A little bit of perspective, Kingman's breakfast is $1, their lunch is $3.50, but they only have 2 sites that charge. All 11 of their other sites are community eligibility provisions, so they're all free. Mojave Valley charges $2.25 for breakfast, $4 for lunch. Colorado Union, $1.75 for breakfast and $3.50 for lunch. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now open up for discussion before a vote.
Seems we're somewhat limited. It's a USDA requirement,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
10 cents is nominal. I'm ready for a vote.
Okay. Go ahead.
And the only thing I would say is, I would like to encourage people, even if you're not sure if you qualify for Title I, to fill out that form at the beginning of the year, because a lot of people are surprised they do qualify. It is all confidential. We do not, and your kid doesn't go into a special line or anything, like, it's just, yeah.
I'm the only person who knows any of the data.
Yeah. So please, if this would help your family, spread the word that, you know, we do have free and reduced lunches available, and a lot of people qualify who don't think that they would, so. But oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to move to approve.
Okay, then you move and I'll second.
Yep, move to approve 6.3.
Second.
Lisa Romo?
Yes.
Matthew Houston?
Yes.
David Rose?
Yes. Item 6.4, Business Services, Resolution Fiscal Year 24-25 Revised, Resolution 24-25-02.2, 24-25-03.2, 24-25-06.2, 24-25-07.2, and 24-25-08.2, and 2024-25-10.2 are necessary due to staffing changes in order to continue current practice for the remainder of the 24-25 fiscal year. The resolutions are submitted, are maintenance resolutions. It would not affect any substantial change in our current operation procedures. I call for a vote.
I'll approve, or I'll move to approve 6.4.
I second.
And this is just updating who's allowed to sign forms.
Lisa Romo?
Yes.
Matthew Houston?
Yes.
David Rose?
Yes. All right, at this time, item 6.5, Superintendent Skinner with the Kim Sutton Math Manipulatives and Supplementary Math Activities and Games.
So we will, this summer, July, the teachers come back.
Forgetting this, so sorry, not used to that one. Be provided with professional development led by Kim Sutton at the end of July, focused on supporting students' math achievement through the use of engaging math games and manipulatives to ensure effective learning. In the professional development session is best practice to provide teachers with the necessary activities and materials during the session so that when they leave the PD, they have everything needed to be able to implement strategies, any of the games, the fun things, interactive things that they see in the sessions, they'll have it readily available. So the district, we're asking to purchase the attached books and hands-on materials designed to help teachers enhance math instruction by engaging students through hands-on activities, math games, and manipulatives. So double dice, triple dice, double dodecahedron dice, place value dice, and then the game activity books. This is not replacing any core curriculum. This will be supplemental so that we can engage students with more higher level thinking and hands-on manipulatives and games.
Yeah. Right. Open for discussion at this time. Just so we see, the retail price of materials is $35,177. The district received 40% off and free shipping, bringing the total to $21,107. At this time, the district will request an NTE amount of $23,000. I open for discussion to the board.
I was personally a kid that hated just straight lectures in high school, and these type of things were always something that I personally found got me more engaged, doing problems, doing stuff that was creative with my mind, rather than just sitting there droning through problems, getting lectured at. So this is something I find highly valuable, especially in the realm of math. Math is really about thinking through problems, logic, and getting games and things that actually draw someone to want to engage with that process is incredibly valuable. So I definitely support this.
I'm excited because 75% of what this board is really our job is to support education in this district. 75% of everything that's on our agenda should be about supporting teaching, supporting the success of our students and how that is happening. And so I'm a big proponent of investing into professional development for this district, for our teachers, and making learning greater and seeing what we can do. And so, thank you.
Thank you, I love that.
Great.
So at this time, if there's no other discussion.
It's all grade. Yeah, it'll
It's all
be
grade
pre-K
levels.
through 8th grade, and then we will have our special ed and intervention, any remedial at high school will be provided some materials, but pre-K through 8th grade will receive the bulk of the materials.
And there's also SPED.
And
Yeah,
SPED,
and
yes,
SPED
we have
as well.
SPED, and that's in high school remedial that needs some additional supports, they will be involved as well, but yeah, pre-K through 8 mostly.
All right, any further discussion from the board? All right, call for a vote. At this time, I want a motion to approve item 6.6.
6.5.
6.5, sorry.
I second.
As is.
Okay. I got Lisa
Yes.
Matthew Houston.
Yes.
David Rose.
Yes. Item 6.6, the governing board will present the recommendation for the Director of Special Education. This is a position that has been available in previous years in the district, and as Dr. Stone and Dr. Skinner together have evaluated the structure of specifically with special education, they felt and the board feels that we need to really hone in on improving special ed in this community, in our schools, and it makes it really difficult whenever that department falls under the department that has so many other responsibilities. And so we really needed an individual to take this and run with it and improve this. And so tonight I'm honored to read this recommendation. We are pleased to recommend Mrs. Allie Noodleman for the position of Director of Special Education for the Lake Havasu Unified School District. Mrs. Noodleman currently serves as the Special Education Coordinator for our district, bringing with her 7 years of educational experience and a lifelong passion for supporting students with disabilities. Her dedication to special education began early volunteering as a peer tutor in middle school, a commitment that has guided her career ever since. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry with a pre-med emphasis from the College of Idaho in 2015 before transitioning to education in 2017. Her teaching career began as a chemistry teacher at her alma mater, where she supported students in inclusive classroom settings. Recognizing her calling in special education, Mrs. Noodleman went on to complete her Master's of Education in Secondary Education from Grand Canyon University, followed by additional graduate degrees in special education and educational leadership. In 2019, she relocated to Arizona to care for family and accepted a position at Kingman High School as a resource science teacher. There, she rose through the ranks, serving as a department chair and then as assistant principal, overseeing special education services for more than 200 students, 10 teachers, and 20 paraeducators. In this leadership capacity, Mrs. Noodleman gained deep experience in compliance with IDEA and Section 504, as well as in collaborating with staff and community partners to provide high-quality, individualized support. Since joining the Lake Havasu Unified School District in January as a special education coordinator, Mrs. Noodleman has continued to demonstrate a strong commitment to improving services and outcomes for students with special needs. Her leadership has already had a meaningful impact on our district. Beyond her administrative responsibilities, Mrs. Noodleman is committed to professional growth and sharing her expertise. She is presented at both the Arizona IDEA Conference and the ESSA Conference and is scheduled to present at the National Forum for the Rural Education Association this fall. Outside of work, she enjoys spending time with her husband and their 1-year-old daughter. Mrs. Noodleman's comprehensive background, hands-on classroom experience, and demonstrated leadership in special education uniquely positioned for her for its success as Director of Special Education. We are confident in her ability to lead our programs with excellence and are proud to bring this recommendation before the board this evening. At this time, I open it up for discussion.
No real discussion other than to confirm, I was on the hiring committee for this department, and we were pleased to make this recommendation.
Awesome.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Dave. Bringing in a director specifically for special ed is something that we absolutely need in the district to increase the access and availability of higher education special ed needs. So I, at this time, will move to hire Allie Noodleman as the Director of Special Education.
And I will second.
Lisa Lamont.
Yes.
Matthew Houston.
Yes.
David Rose.
Yes. Congratulations. All right, at this time, the governing board will present the recommendation for the Director of Student Services. We are pleased to recommend Mr. Charles Keller for the position of Director of Student Services for the Lake Havasu Unified School District. Mr. Keller currently serves as a K-12 assistant principal at the Nye County School District, bringing 25 years of experience with him in education profession. He has held a wide range of roles from classroom teacher to district superintendent and remains deeply committed to education. His dedication is rooted in sincere belief that students are a vital asset to the future of our communities. Mr. Keller earned a Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education from the University of Nevada, Reno, and a master's degree in curriculum and instruction from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. In 2010, he completed his educational specialist degree in leadership from Nova Southeastern University, completing his leadership internship while serving as a chair of a 9-person science department at the Las Vegas Academy of the Arts in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mr. Keller spent 9 years teaching physical science at the secondary level, a role he deeply rewarded. In 2014, he transitioned into a site administration, and in 2017, he advanced to district-level leadership, serving as a superintendent and a K-12 principal in a small rural Kansas community. During the COVID-19 pandemic school closures in March 2020, Mr. Keller led his district through unprecedented challenges. He worked to ensure that students had access to learning tools, food services, and as much stability as possible during a nationwide uncertainty. Mr. Keller's philosophy regarding education is simple. The students are limitless tests to which we hold all our decisions. They should always come first: their learning opportunities, their enrichment, their safety, and their security. His leadership's philosophy is that setting an example, demonstrating character, and providing mentorship is key to bringing a team along rather than managing with authority. He wholeheartedly agrees with Lake Havasu Unified School District's mission of scholarship, character, and humanity, and is prepared to support initiatives that utilize these pillars to build a foundation of strong citizens for this community and its future. The pride he takes watching his own 2 children navigate their educational journeys and a venture into adulthood inspires him in his continued efforts to have a positive impact on students. As the son of a school administrator, Mr. Keller strives to implement the example his father set for him by demonstrating patience, consistency, and accountability in his daily professional life. Mr. Keller's hope is to continue to positively impact learning by serving this district for years to come. We are confident that his ability to lead our student services program with excellence and are proud to bring this recommendation before the board this evening. I'm now open for discussion.
Again, no real discussion about it, except that I was also on this committee. We rotated as board members, so we can have two board members per committee. So I served on this one as well, and Mr. Keller does have my support.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to serve on this committee as well, and I think that this candidate is going to bring something to this department that is needed. We know that student services has been kind of an issue, and we're looking forward to the work and experience that he is going to bring to, as he said, to partner alongside those individuals that work in that department, as well as partnering with our principals and school district staff. So at this time, if there's no other discussion, I call for a motion.
I'll move to hire Charles Keller as the Director of Student Services.
And I will second.
Lisa Lamont?
Yes.
Matthew Houston?
Yes.
David Rose?
Yes. And item 6.8, Governing Board. The Governing Board will present the recommendation for the Director of Student Achievement. We are pleased to recommend Dr. Mary Bethel for the position of Director of Student Achievement for the Lake Havasu Unified School District. Dr. Bethel has served in education for the past 20 years in a variety of roles that have prepared her for the role of Student Achievement Director for the Lake Havasu Unified School District. Her career began as a high school English and Read 180 teacher for the first 9 years before she transitioned into administration. Mary has served as an academic dean, assistant principal, and an intermediate school testing coordinator, ELA instructional coach, and a director of literacy pre-K. She earned a bachelor's in English with a minor in communication from the University of Houston in 2000, followed by a master's in education administration in 2018 from the Lamar University. Most recently, she continued her studies in a doctoral program in literacy at the University of Texas, San Antonio, and will be graduating this month. Mary's experience in developing and facilitating professional learning community protocols will play a pivotal role this upcoming school year as we expand our support at the school coaching level and evaluate student achievement results. Her experience with multi-tiered systems of support and effective interventions to support students who are approaching the standard or far above the standard will help us continue to provide the most exceptional education possible for all learners. Her vision for partnering with parents as students transition from elementary school to middle school to high school will support our students in maintaining academic excellence during the entirety of while they're here in Lake Havasu Unified School District. Outside of work, Mary Bethel is a mother of two and enjoys researching to provide a better understanding of an issue and collaborating to find solutions. We're excited to bring Dr. Bethel's vast training, education, and experience to our Student Achievement Department and are thrilled to bring this recommendation before the board this evening. I actually sat in on, both of us sat in together on this interview process on this committee, and I can tell you I was very impressed by this candidate and her experience, and definitely looking forward to working with her.
Yeah, her experience was exceptional, and definitely we are going to be weaponizing her and getting her laser focused on getting us attuned with the state standards and bringing our proficiency ups and getting the outcomes that we want for our students. We will get the proficiencies up, and I know Mary Bethel is going to be a great part of that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
And I was not a part of this committee, but it is important to me when I say yes or no from this platform that my yeses mean something, that they're based on solid information. I was able to have a discussion with our Director of Human Resources, and I feel confident that the process was conducted fairly and impartially, and I can give a confident yes for this candidate.
Awesome.
So I will move to hire Mary Bethel as the Director of Student Achievement.
Second.
Lisa Lamont,
Yes.
Matthew Houston,
Yes.
David Rose.
Yes. All right. At this time, informational, item 7.1, Superintendent, Dr. Skinner. do you have-
Yes, and Carol tried to, steal my thunder. I don't know if she's still here or not, but, so we had, Principal Appreciation Day was May 1st, and then, of course, our Teacher Appreciation Week is this week. So we just want to make sure that we honor and recognize the hard work and dedication. They put in so many hours, so if you're still here, we'd love for you to give a big hoot and holler or clap to our teachers and our principals. And our teachers, yeah. So we just want to extend our gratitude. They've just done so much, and we're just so proud of them. They go above and beyond every day. Of course, the month of May is just quite busy. Award ceremonies, I think tonight, this week has been, 8:30, 6 day. It's been a long one with awards, and we're just so proud of our students walking across those stages, getting, all of the certificates for excellence and achievement. We're just so proud of them. And of course, we have our graduation coming up on May 22nd. I know, I was just making sure you know. May 22nd, so please join us. So lots going on this month. So again, it's just a busy, busy time, and we just appreciate everyone supporting.
All right, thank you. Now at this time, item 7.2, Governing Board members, comments, suggestions, or future agenda items.
Just a suggestion that if our board wants to go forward with hiring a director of financial services, I know that right now we have an outside provider, but their contract expires July 1st, which is going to be here before we know it. So if that's something we want to go forward with, I think we should post that as soon as possible.
Yes, I agree.
No, I agree. In that, I look forward to seeing what is, who potentially would be interested, but also think that we need to weigh out. There's plus and minuses to both. So for those of you who are here this evening, we have currently outsourced the Director of Business Services position to a firm that only works with school districts. Matter of fact, this firm also has worked with the Department of Education in the state, a lot of experience. And in that, though, there is something to having that person that you can walk into the office and say, hey, can we have a conversation? What does this look like? And someone that actually knows our community and understands who we are. So yes, absolutely, I think that is important to post.
Yeah, and definitely if we bring it back in-house, we need to have a serious look at how we structure the authority of that individual, having checks and balances so that we don't end up in the same situation with one individual seeming to have a little bit too much control over the finances and being able to shift things that aren't visible. So I definitely, maybe we have
If we do a CFO, more of a chief financial officer with a
Correct.
different type
Yeah.
of background. I think that was one of the things I heard,
Yeah.
so.
So that definitely needs something to look at, maybe a work session, we come in and discuss that, see how we want to structure it.
Mhm.
But I think sooner rather than later, obviously, it needs to happen.
absolutely.
So do you want it posted, or do you want to have a work session? I want to make sure I'm.
Let's have a work session to figure out exactly what we want to
Maybe
do.
to
I think we
discuss
should
job
have
description.
Job description is the big one.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, so a work session to work out job description and then to post it. Absolutely.
And then the only other thing on my radar right now is AR. I've been getting a lot of emails about accelerated reader, so I think that's something we should talk about if we want to bring it back or not.
Absolutely, and I know right now, we are waiting to receive data back. And so we are going to look at those things. I can tell you, and I will be very transparent in having, so when I traveled and met with principals and said, hey, and teachers, what are some things that you're interested in? And AR was one of them for some folks. And when I brought that back to Dr. Stone, Dr. Stone informed me she was not interested in accelerated reader, that is something that they had taken out. And there was a reason for that. So I think we really need to look at the data. She was interested in other programs that she felt helped improve reading skills better than AR. So I think that is a conversation that we need to have because improving reading is important, but also respect the opinion of our superintendent who is leading the district. And we want to make sure we do what is best for kids, and we want everyone's feedback. You know, we are all here, and we all want the same results. We all want kids to be proficient in reading in all things. And sometimes we all have different opinions of how we get there. And we need to be willing to hear each other out and to have those conversations and to look at the data and see what works and what doesn't. So I look forward to those conversations.
Yeah, and just a quick note on it, comfortable is not always better. I've talking to some people about accelerated reader, perhaps doesn't give the best data points. And we're not, if we do move away from accelerated reader, we're not saying we're not going to have any program.
Correct.
We are going to have something that it gives us data on where we are at, where we need to improve, and hopefully makes our students better. There is proficiency issues here. What was used before has not produced the results. And so part of us being brought in and elected was to change things in this district. We have given a lot of input and heard a lot from you guys, changed some things, left some other things out, like the calendar, right off the bat. But we're going to take your input, but we are going to make the best decision we believe to increase the proficiencies and the outcomes of our students. Pretty much nothing else. So if it's not helping our students, it's going to go the byway. So that's all I have on that.
Yeah, and I think those conversations are important and working together. And, okay, any other discussion? It is just a few weeks away and school is over. You've made it another year, teachers, administrators, counselors, everybody. It is almost over, just a few weeks, and then you start working into the next year. And just know that you're appreciated. Thank you for all of your hard work that you do to make our kids successful. You're appreciated. Have an amazing rest of your school year. I motion at this time to adjourn.
I second.
Lisa Romo?
Yes.
David Rose?
Yes.
Yes.
Good night.